Okay, I'll let you start off. Go ahead and set this out.
Peace and blessings, family. This is Brother Sharif and Brother Ptah with the Hour of Power. Welcome again. We have a power-packed show, so you definitely want to call in and listen in if you can. In the name of God, the gracious, the merciful, we give him praise and thanks for his mercy and his goodness to the human family. If all the trees upon the earth were pens to write with, and if all the oceans were ink, and then another 7 oceans add to its supply, the writing would still not be enough to explain the glory of God, for he is the exalted, all-powerful, all-wise. We praise no other in our time of need, and we praise no other in our time of need, and we praise no other in our good fortune. He is one. And even if I lived to be 1,000, it would still not be enough to thank God for his many blessings and gifts. We thank God for the Metu Neter, oracle scriptures and writings that came on the continent of Africa thousands of years before any organized religion. We thank Moses for the Torah, Jesus and the gospel, and Muhammad with the Quran. I greet everyone in words of peace. To our Christian family, praise the Lord. To our Muslim family, assalamu alaikum. To our Hebrew Israelite family, shalom. To our Black conscious family, hotep. And to our people in the streets, what's good to you? It all means peace. So I'm going to have my brother Ptah come on, and he'll give his intro, and then we'll get this thing popping here. Thank you for tuning in.
Let's adjust the camera a little bit. Grand Rising, this is Freedom Time. This is Ptah Shakur. Like always, this particular program is a community program. So if you would like to join into the conversation, the number is on the bottom of the screen, 717-846-5067. I'm gonna give everybody time to get your pen and pad. It's gonna be a lot of pertinent information. So like I said, call in or even comment there on Facebook. Like always, share a little bit about myself, and the best way that I do that is via affirmation. Affirmation, if you don't know what that is, these are words, because words are power, believe it or not. However, the words that we intentionally utilize to begin our day, begin our emotion, is what I call positively contaminates your next scene. So, warning, the information you hear may excite you, may depress you, may find it blasphemous, may sound like the craziest things you ever heard in your life. However, I promise you the information that's coming across is peer-reviewed science. We're going into some deep history, and I get into that topic in a little bit, as well as just the experience that is just gathered by the individuals that are the panelists on this particular program. So back to that affirmation. I know my place in truth. I know what I am in truth. I know how I serve in truth. I'm free. I'm free. I'm free. I'm in the upper room. God is, God is, God is. I, Ptah Shakur, I pledge to always look for the best in each and every circumstance and in each and every one, especially starting with myself. I come from love, I am love, and I choose to look at the world through the lens of love. I commit myself to choosing the upper room towards vibrating at the highest level possible. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I am free, I am free, I am free. Behold, I make all things new. I'm a catalyst for change, Reiki practitioner, entrepreneur, spiritual guide, and channel. I'm a rebel here to uninstall the cowardliness that I see pervasive throughout our fellow human beings. We're in a state of a trance-like state, and there's a lot of different things that are moving around in front of us that is very, very important to pay attention to. We are living in that time. We are living in a time that was written about in the scriptures and the scrolls, in Revelation in particular, where it says, "Behold, I see a new heaven and a new earth, for the old heaven and the whole earth has been passed away." Go ahead and bring your books out. This is the time that we're living in. So the topic of this particular expression is to make sure that everybody understands what's going on at this particular time. So we're going to stick with that particular theme. We got July 4th coming up tomorrow. And how best would it be to celebrate July 4th, the Independence Day, as it says? We got to make sure that we have our due diligence and speak about the positive contributions, period, that African Americans have made to build this country up to the great country what it is. So even in that, we got to speak a little bit about Black excellence, and for that we got to go back way back on the 8-track. Go back, not Africa. There's people that say go back to Africa. Alkeban. We got to understand that we got to get everything right and precise in this day and time. So that body of landmass that we previously was calling Africa, that is actually the term Africa is misnamed after an individual that was an explorer that came to that landmass. So we prefer to call it what the ancients of that particular landmass called themselves, was Alkeban. So with that, we're going into Alkeban, and there's a very key place where individuals call Egypt. And so you can go ahead and pick that up while this. What? Go ahead. I'll pause.
Our power.
Hotep, Brother Shakur.
Hotep, brother. How are you?
Man, I'm doing excellent, man. I have no justifiable complaints. How about you?
Doing excellent. So let me give a little bit of, we just kind of started the show and kind of gave the theme. The theme that we're speaking about is as far as what July, the 4th of July, Independence Day is tomorrow. What I previously was sharing as far as you can't speak about the greatness of America without considering the contributions that African Americans have made, and then going into understanding how our greatness is. We were speaking about a little bit about ancient Kemet, which people mislabel as Egypt. You know, so that's the kind of vibe that we into, that we talking about today. Now this is Brother Kirkland. I'm gonna give you an opportunity. You can go ahead and share a little bit about yourself if you'd like to. This is a brother that I spoke to a few weeks ago. A lot of knowledge, and I have a lot of questions here for you as well. You know, because even when you said the Hotep, I'm gonna ask you what that particularly means. So just share a little bit. You live on the air right now. Like I said, this is the Hour Power call-in show. The number is 717-846-5067. So, Brother Kirkland, tell us what's on your mind, bro.
Hey, man, I'm doing excellent, man. You know, just a little bit about me. Not a lot, man. I'm just like most people, man. You know, I work every day for a living, and you know, I'm always trying to get my dollars up. But my name is Lyndon Kirkland. I'm actually a banker, man. I work for a company called J.P. Morgan Chase.
Okay.
And but in addition to that, man, I look at myself as an ancient African historian and independent researcher. But my area of interest, man, is the Nile Valley high culture region of the world, where everything comes from. So, you know, you speaking about like they get ready to celebrate the 4th of July and the building of this country, brother. It's all patterned off of Kemet, if you will.
Yes, sir.
So we can start with that.
Absolutely, because I know a lot of people call that area Egypt, and I kind of got to correct. Tell them a little bit about that. What's Kemet for people that don't understand that home?
Yeah, well, you know, like a lot of our history, you know, Brother Shakur, what gets shielded or covered up is because we're being defined by other people's terms, right? So Egypt is a Greek word, right? But the indigenous name is Kemet, and that's what the people call themselves. So it means the black land or the black people. So if you were to look at the Medu Neter, or hieroglyphics again, as they call it, if you were to see that on the pyramid walls and temple walls over there, you would see that's what it means, right?
Yes, sir.
And people are always trying to define us, and that's part of what keeps our story hidden underneath a veil, if you will. And we need to get away from that, right? You know, our time is up. You know, the jig is up with these folks. They can't keep this knowledge from us anymore.
Yes, sir.
And, you know, we need to start defining ourselves, man, start telling the story, telling our own narrative, right? So, yeah, so Egypt, misnomer, is Kemet. It is the northeast region of Africa. And that's right, family. It's not in the Middle East. It's in Africa, right? And it would be that place where African civilization rose to its zenith, right? It didn't always start there. And greatness didn't start in Kemet, but it would start in what you might call the Great Lakes region of Africa. That would be the belly of Africa, where the Congo is.
Okay.
You know, down that region down there, and it would follow the Nile up south, if you will.
Go
because the Nile River flows. Oh, I used the term south because the Nile River flows south to north.
Yes, sir.
And it winds through Africa. It takes a 4,200-mile journey, winding through Africa. Then when it gets up around the Sudan, it makes a curve and goes into Kemet. So the White Nile starts down there in Uganda, Kenya down there being fed by the mountain caps of Kilimanjaro. But then when it gets up by the Sudan or Khartoum, then you get another branch that comes in there from Ethiopia, which brings a whole bunch of other water in coming from the Adabah River, and then it would flow into Egypt, and it would be that silty water that came in there and that overflowing at certain times of year, which would help to make that a great region, because they were able to like plant and things like that and provide food for themselves. So, they call it the gift. Egypt is called the gift of the Nile because of that. But people would start at the beginning, what we call their folklore. They call it the mountains of the moon. They say in their folklore, the Kemites will say, we come from the mountains of the moon where God Hameed dwells.
Okay.
And Hameed is what they call the Nile River. So they say we came from down south. So the Kemites came from down south, right?
Yes, sir.
And as I said, those civilizations, going back hundreds of thousands of years, would follow that Nile River, just like you might follow 83 or 95 if you're going down south or something like that, Brother Shakur.
True. Yes, sir.
Brother Kirkland, Brother Sharif is here too.
What's going on, Brother Sharif? Long time, man.
Yeah.
Beautiful. Thank you for that information. I don't know if you're watching on and anybody who's listening, this is actually going to be, this is streamed out to the White Rose Community Television viewership, as well as it's going out to Facebook, and then later on this afternoon it will be put on Rumble as well as YouTube. So I don't know if you got a visual right now, but we're utilizing the technology of the green screen, and what I got behind us is, and on for those that are a viewer audience, you can see I found a map. It was one of the oldest maps, and what it shows is that region of which is now like the Sahara Desert. You got Ethiopia, all in that middle area. It was full of lakes, and as my time as a youth education director, then I'm gonna kick it to you on a particular question. Is there's a documentary where you can watch where inside of in Africa, Alkeban, there was a lake called Super Chad, which was supposed to be one of the largest lakes that existed at that time. However, because of that barren wasteland that is now the Sahara Desert, that we just commonly think that it's always been desert. Now, when I was a young man, I was always thinking of that, like, man, why is it that everything came from out of Africa, but it looked like it's the poorest part, like it's only but a bunch of deserts. But as the documentary displays, is that the winds come across Africa, and it picks up microscopic particles and particles that are sitting in that dry lake bed, and actually carries them over the entire ocean of the Atlantic Ocean, and it just inundates South America with the nutrients that was in the bottom. Now mind you, it's probably algae and all type of living organisms that deposited those nutrients there, and those winds pick that up, and it sprinkles it all over the what you call the forest, the rainforest there in South America. So that's one of the reasons why South America is so abundant in its vegetation and its food and its fruits in that level, because of that nutrients. So like I said, the map kind of shows it in the back there. It was littered with lakes and villages and towns and things like that. And you got anything you want to add on to that?
Well, it's very interesting. Like I'm not watching anything like that. I'm just listening to the cipher.
Yes, sir.
But it's interesting that you would bring up a map, for example, Brother Shakur, because that's a whole nother study right there, brother.
Yes, sir.
When you go back and start looking at maps before they were adulterated. So, for example, like us, when we're in school and stuff like that, and they have that map of the world up in front of the classroom, I think they call it a Mercator map. And when you look at the Mercator map, for example, brother, it would minimize Africa's size in the world, and they would make Europe look like it was bigger, right?
Right.
Well, if you look at a Peter's projection map, where they actually took a picture by satellite of the Earth, then it's the exact opposite.
Yes, sir.
You understand? And then, and that's why I'm trying to. That's why, man, I'm great we're having this dialogue, man, because these people, they're so diabolical, man, in their schemes, man, to make it seem like they're the center of the world and that everything comes from them and nothing comes from, you know, other peoples in this world, right? We all made a contribution to humanity, right? It just happens that we were the first ones and the greatest ones, right?
Yes, sir.
But going back to that thing about the water, so you're talking about climatic change, right?
Yes, sir.
And man, it wasn't always dry like that. Man, there were river systems, man, running all through Africa, brother. Right. How do you think people got from the East Coast, you know, to the West Coast?
Think about
it. And when you think about, you know, classical Africa or Middle Africa, those kingdoms like, you know, Ghana and Mali and Songhai and things like that, they followed the river systems, brother. So you're absolutely correct in that matter right there, man. I'm kind of glad you showed that. I can't see it, but maybe I'll go back and watch the replay.
Absolutely, absolutely. And even when you mentioned on that, because we've had on this program before, we displayed the images that was released by Vladimir Putin and the Russian ministry of the Black Jesus and the Black Gospels and Black Mary. And it wasn't just one or two. It was a whole series of pictures in which we spoke about how the depiction of Jesus has been, what would you say? What's the word that you said they did with the map? Adulterated. So not only they adulterated the visual image, just adulterating the map. I think people really need to hear as far as the massive amount of effort that's done to dissuade everybody to understand the greatness that, you know, that we come from.
Well, listen, Brother Shakur. Listen to this right now. Think about this right now. When you hear the story about Yeshua, if you will, I'm going to say Yeshua because there was no J back then, right? So Yeshua, if you will.
Yeshua, and, Jesus. For anybody who's listening at home, we were speaking about Yeshua as the commonly referred to as Jesus. Yes, sir. Go ahead.
Yeah. When you're talking about one of the most corruptive photographs in the world, man, and the one that we always see, brother, is the one of the Alpine man. He's looking up like a halo with the brown hair. Brother Shakur, you know the one I'm talking about. I mean, I was growing up and all my friends had that picture in their dining room next to the Kennedy boys and Dr. King and stuff like that. I mean, you ain't never see that in the Kirkland house, right? But I would go to these people's houses and everybody had in their dining room, right? And that picture was painted by a man named Warner Sallman in 1946, Brother Shakur. And I think one time when I was doing a pre-Zoom, man, my son said, Daddy, that picture was downloaded 500 million times. You want to talk about some racism, bro, and a corrupting influence, man, right? You know, and so, like, you know, if they say God created human beings in his own image, brother, then when I get up in the morning and I look in the mirror, I'm looking at God.
Yes, sir.
Right? I am God.
Brother Kirkland.
We're spiritual divine beings having a spiritual human experience, brother.
Brother Kirkland.
You know? Yes.
This is Brother Sharif. I thought they said Michelangelo created that false picture of Caesar Borgia as we know him to be.
No, you're actually right about that. I'm talking about the one that's in everybody's dining room, brother. You know what I mean? Everybody knows Pope Julius II commissioned Michelangelo to paint the kind of like first official painting of white Jesus. I think he used a model or something like that. But I'm talking about the one that's in everybody's dining room of that Alpine man looking up at that halo, that brown hair, looking all innocent and stuff like that. You know the one I'm talking about, brother? You probably have friends that had that picture in their dining room.
I remember that going over people's house and saying, we ain't had that up in our household, but yeah, I feel you.
Yeah. But I'm saying that, but the ancient world before that, brother, before, for example, like you said, Michelangelo, before that, the whole ancient world bowed down to the Black Madonna child. So, Brother Shakur, I'm surprised that you're surprised when the Russians, you know, released all them photographs of those Black Madonnas and all that kind of stuff like that, because Europe actually has more Black Madonnas like anywhere else in the world, right? One of the most popular ones that I was telling you about in our conversation, we were getting acquainted, was the one that's called the Black Madonna and Child of Czestochowa, from Czestochowa, right? And it sits today in the Jasna Gora Monastery in Poland.
Okay.
You can go on Google it, man. You can see Pope John Paul the first Polish Pope, bowing down to that picture, brother. You can see, man, when Benedict went out of office and Francis came in, you can see them both praying down to the Black Madonna child, right, or Mary, right? The legend has it that St. Luke actually painted that picture on a table made by Jesus, right? Because he said he was a carpenter.
Yes, sir.
Right? Now, everybody knows about, so, I mean, if you want to question the Russians' reason for releasing that at this time, right? They're this little proxy war with the United States, so I wasn't surprised at anything did it, because that's like, for brothers like us, man, that's common knowledge, right?
Yes, sir.
You understand? But when you think about, the Black Madonna and child, man, that concept, too, comes out of ancient Africa, brother. You think about a Trinity. They talk about Mary Joseph. I'm talking about Asar, Aset, and Heru. That's the Trinity, right? And it would be no surprise that these people would capitalize on that and call her the Virgin, call her Mary, when her name is Mary, Meri, the beloved one, or Aset, right? So when those people are in those churches, man, teaching that stuff to black folks, man, they're not giving them that background, brother. I'm not taking anything away from those churches and things like that.
Right.
But I'm saying, like, if you're going to be trying to teach the spirituality or whatever you're doing over there, just blacken it up a little bit and give the origin so you can give the people the real information and not having them think that they have no place in the world.
Yes, sir. And for anybody who's listening at home, I always want to make sure we express this. The information we're providing, this is absent of any type of prejudice or any type of racism against any particular person at all. That this program that we've always been sharing is to educate, to motivate, and to inspire. And the only way you do that is with 100% truth. That's why I said in the very beginning in the disclaimer, warning. The information you hear may excite you, may depress you, may trigger you, but the information that the brothers are presenting right now, this is historical fact, and we don't have anything against anybody with religion as well, because when we speak about this type of knowledge, I just want to make sure that we have nothing but love and respect for all people. However, we are living in that freedom time right now, whether it be something provocative and causes us to really think. This is something that's really the sign of the time right now.
And one of the viewers said that the Moors have made a significant contribution to the world, and Spain has a lot of history, and Morocco. If our brother wanted to speak on that.
Man, we ain't even get there yet, brother. We talk about medieval Africa now. We ain't even get there yet. But Brother Shakur, I'm so glad that you preface your presentation like that, because I'm going to preface my remarks right.
Yes, sir.
Don't believe a word that I say. Mm-hmm. Don't believe anything that I say here tonight, family, because you spoke about facts. One of my professors, Dr. David Imhotep, he used to speak about evidence. He used to say, man, facts can change, right? It was a fact last week that it was mad hot, man, and humid, right? That's a fact, right?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
This week, it's a lot cooler. But when you go to court, brother, they dealing with evidence. So I'm giving you evidence tonight. I'm giving you science. Don't believe a word that I say. Matter of fact, that may be the best thing you could ever do tonight, because then that will force you to go look it up for yourself. I'm dropping science tonight, brother.
Yes, sir.
Giving you
This is home of the high-level conversation. I don't know if you can't see, but I'm taking notes right now. I've already started writing some things down. And I did pull that up. So anybody that thinks this is some BS or whatever, go put Black Madonna of... I just put Black Madonna of, and it came up. The word you said, chicka, something. They're in Poland.
Just the cow of Poland, brother.
I'm sorry. I don't want to disrespect anybody that's from that region. Check the power. I mean, because we got massive amounts of resources. Most people got smartphones. Kids have got smartphones, But we're going to use that to educate and like you said, don't believe nothing else. Don't believe anything we say. Check it out for yourself.
Brother Shakur, one of the professors I follow, man, Tony Browder, man, he's out of Washington D.C. He says when you're sharing information like this with the family, man, you got to have 4 or 5 sources, man, for everything that you say.
True.
So, this is not. I don't even have an agenda, brother. I got a day job that pays very well, so I'm not cash apping anybody on YouTube or anything like that. I mean, you know, I get honorariums when I do speaking engagements, right? But for me, you know, this is not, you know, this is not. I'm not motivated by the bag because this is my faith. So,
Yes, sir.
family, take it any way you want it.
Right.
I have a question for you, bro.
Go right ahead.
I know we said, you know, I did an introduction and I always give a shout out to all the major faiths. But why do you think that the black church, which is filled with black people, why do you think they're so apprehensive to come out with facts like this?
You know, that's a great question, Brother Sharif, man. I don't have to answer that, man. I mean, I ponder that myself, right? But you got to figure, man, brother, that's how they make their living, man. You know, that's how they make their living. I often wonder, like I got friends, man, with, you know, they went to Yale. You know, they got doctorates and stuff like that, man. I even wonder if they even know. So maybe they don't know.
You mean they don't know what? What you mean?
They don't know the origins of where this stuff comes from, brother.
I got you.
You understand what I'm saying? Like, go and tell somebody that the original Trinity is Osar Haru, which is like 10,000 years older than Christianity or whatever like that, right? And see what they say. You know, they'll think that is blasphemy, brother.
Yes, sir.
And this stuff is written in stone. I mean, and that story didn't even come out of Kemet. That came out of like Nubia, out of Kush. Because Kush is like 300, 400 years before Pharaonic Egypt, if you will. And if you go and look at, for example, like I sent you a relic that I just took a picture of at the Institute for Ancient Studies at the University of Chicago, used to be called the Oriental Institute. When Keith Steele was excavating down in the Sudan, and he uncovered this cemetery of these kings, man. Right, the first human monarchy in 1962, I believe, brother. Right, that's just one of the relics. But that relic, I think they call it the Horus incense burner. Right, so Osar Haru, but the Greeks called them Osiris, Isis, and Horus. So you see how they changed the names again?
Yes, sir.
Right. So, but that incense, man. They held it. We didn't find out about that until 1979, I think, in a New York Times article when his assistant Bruce Williams brought it out after he was dead.
Wow.
You're talking about the first human monarchy, brother. Not average people, royalty, man. But that incense burner bared this African spirituality concept I'm telling you about, right?
Yes, sir.
You know, Christianity, Islam, whatever like that. It is what it is, right? But I'm trying to tell you where all it comes from. You got to look at Dr. Yosef Ben Yakinen wrote a book on major Western religions. You got to check that out. Dr. Yosef Ben Yakinen.
What's you know the title of the book or no?
Yeah, man, I read that book so long ago. It's the world's. Just Google it, man. It's Dr. Yosef Ben Yakinen.
Okay.
Or Dr. Ben, if you will. And he wrote that book, man, that goes in and he dissects. He lets you know where the origins of all of them come from.
Yes, sir.
Dr. Ben.
Dr. John Henrik Clark is pretty deep too.
Yeah, they were contemporaries, man. They were contemporaries, you know. So you got to study them, man. They're ancestors now. You got to study them too.
So if you're talking about authors and researchers and things of that nature, I did switch the background now. Now I got the background where it showed you sent me the different type of books, like the Miseducation of the Negro. This one says Echoes of the Old Dark Land. I figure I'll put that up as a service for those, you know, a little recommended reading. Brother Sharif and I, we recommend people feed your mind of some knowledge. So that's some of the books. The same ones you sent me the picture of on my text message. I got it on the background. In addition,
so real quick before you get into that, right?
Sure.
So that one book that you brought up, Echoes of the Old Dark Land, by Dr. Charles Finch, that is a must-read. So Brother Sharif, as far as like, you know, some of these religious questions and things like that, the origin, that would be a great book for the family to start out with. But obviously, when you show Carter G. Woodson the miseducation of Negro, that's like standard. Like, I mean, that would be like, one of the building blocks for getting into this knowledge, right?
Like a one-on-one.
And one of them that didn't send you was called 100 Amazing Facts About the Negro by J.A. Rogers.
Yeah.
Excellent book, man. For starting out, just to kind of like get down like the nomenclature and kind of like the thought process, around this kind of stuff that we're talking about.
Brother Kirkland, what's the brother's name that has the book? It's on the tip of my tongue. African Origins in America. Very well-known brother. Not Frantz Fanon, but it's called African Origins in America.
I don't know. That title's not ringing a bell to me, man. There's a brother out of Baltimore. He just passed away, so he's an ancestor now, man. Dr. David Imhotep, and he wrote a book called The First Americans Were Africans. I don't know if you're talking about that book. But that book, man.
Say that again. It's called The First Americans Was Africans.
First Americans Were Africans, but by Dr. David Imhotep.
Okay.
He kind of like so Dr. David Imhotep, he picked up on where Dr. Ivan Van Sertima left off, where that book was called They Came Before Columbus.
Okay.
Yeah, I think that's the brother I'm talking about, Ivan Van Sertima.
Yeah, but Brother Sharif, the first Americans were Africans, right? He did a second edition. And listen, man, he got like 1,000 peer-reviewed articles in this book, brother, that shows that we were here. We're the Native Americans. is what he says, his thesis, right? But on the front cover of that book, man, he has a pyramid from Chiapas. He has a pyramid in Chiapas, southern Mexico, that got black people inside of it.
Whoa!
Right? And if you ever read Drusilla Dungy Houston's book, The Wonderful Ethiopians, she even talks about those people down there saying that they were influenced by Cushites, man. So that's another book. I'll send you an actual book list, but
now that one right there with the Mexican pyramid, what book did that come from, or what author was saying about that?
That's Dr. David Imhotep, man.
Dr. David Imhotep.
Yeah, man, that brother, man, he was from Baltimore, man. Dr. David Imhotep is the first human being to get a PhD in ancient African studies, right? And his work basically picked off of Dr. Ivan Van Sertima. They came before Columbus.
Yeah.
But you got to get this book by Drusilla Dungy Houston, man. The Wonderful Ethiopians of the Ancient Kushite Empire.
Yeah, please send that to me.
Yeah, she wrote that book, man, in 1826, brother.
And it's so interesting how we vibe and how organic this conversation is. I was at the barber shop and took my young man to get his hair cut. And, I'm in there vibing with the barbers and everything. We mentioned some about pyramids and things, and that's what one of the brothers had brought up. Somebody that was in the side. We wasn't even talking to him. It was funny how the spirit is magnetic. He was like, yeah. He said, there's pyramids in Mexico, and he mentioned the exact same thing as far as having the African influence. And even in Egypt, they got. I seen a documentary where it has in the hieroglyphics, it shows like pineapples, and pineapples was like a major thing, like in South America. So it was a lot of exchanging of knowledge, wisdom, and understanding from the ancient, say, Mayans or I don't know. Correct me if I'm misspeaking. I don't know if I'm speaking about the Mayans or the Aztecs. But either way, it shows it was some type of collusion, using that word, with ancient Africa.
So Brother Shakur, so I'm saying that first Americans are Africans. I'm referring to that entire region, right?
Yes, sir.
Mexico, Central America, South America, right? It was all combined at one time, right?
That's true. It's all
right. So those folks. I mean, you heard of the Olmecs, right?
Yes, sir.
Olmecs.
Yeah, I had put a couple pictures up. One time I had them all in the background, so people had an image of it.
All right, man. You talking 850 BCE, brother. right? And then any place you see a pyramid, or the African word is called mirror, M-I-R. Again, here we go with the language, right? The nomenclature. The mirrors. Black people have been there. We only people that build pyramids, brother. You understand? Or mound. They started from mound. They got mounds in America, bro.
Did you hear about the one over there by St. Louis?
Yeah.
I'm trying to get there because I'm on the level now. I've been watching, Billy Carson and individuals. And thank you. Like I said, anybody who's listening at home, you can go ahead and call in the number 717-846-5067. So just I'm becoming a researcher, and like you said, I want to see things with my own eyes, and that's why I really appreciate you being on here, because you've been to these museums, you travel around to these spots. So that's one place I really want to get to before the year is over. Is right outside of St. Louis is a huge mound pyramid, and you talk about that a little bit.
So Brother Shakur, man, like in that book, The Miseducation of the Negro, Dr. Carter G. Woodson talks about you get two educations in your lifetime, one given to you, and the other one you get yourself.
Woo!
And the one you get yourself is the one that you have more respect for. It's usually the one that sticks, right?
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And then I heard you earlier talking about how people can do research. Man, do you realize just by a touch of your phone, man, you got at your fingertips, man, you get information from anywhere if you know how to discern it.
Yes, sir.
So we should all be researchers, man. I think that's the greatest good that one can aspire to, man, is to grow in knowledge, wisdom, and understanding. That's kind of like what you put here for, right? So, and especially in our case, because we still walking around blind, deaf, and dumb, brother, because we don't know who we are. And when you don't, when you don't know who you are, man, imagine being an amnesiac, man, not knowing who you are.
Yes, sir.
And because of that, especially with us, we do things to each other, man. We hurt each other.
Yeah, we speak about
that's why
Brother Kirkland.
Yes, sir.
Do you remember the name of the people who migrated to Europe? It was a special name for them. I can't think of it.
I mean, it might have been the Twa Mbuti, bro. The Twa.
No, it wasn't. It wasn't that. It was a name of people who migrated to Europe before the Cro-Magnon man. There's a special name for him, but I can't think of what it is.
Oh, you talking about the Grimaldi?
The Grimaldi race.
Ooh, how you spell that?
Gramaldi, the Grimaldi race. Yes.
Grimaldi. They say the Grimaldi man, but it was actually a woman that was found in a cave over there in the south of France, man.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the Grimaldi race they call him. Yep.
So you're talking about like 50,000 years ago, like when the first Homo sapiens men, like when they were leaving the continent of Africa.
Mm-hmm.
And they get over there in Europe and they get caught up in ice age and stuff like that, right? And they couldn't get back.
Yes, sir.
Because of the glaciations like that. Yeah, you're absolutely correct. And the thing about it is, man, when they talk about that find right there, like when you're digging and stuff like, I mean, I'm not a trained archaeologist or anthropologist, right? But just in some of my reading, when they're digging, right? So like, obviously, the deeper that you're found down in the ground, it must be like you're older, right?
Correct.
So they found this thing, man, so deep down there, man. Yeah, the Grimaldi man. Dr. Ben talks about that too. Wow. And that's a whole nother conversation about how, human beings left the continent of Africa and went and populated the rest of the world. So you got all these different names for them. You heard Brother, Sharif mentioned Cro-Magnon. You hear Neanderthal. You hear Grimaldi, right? But, modern Homo sapiens, left the continent around 50,000 years ago. For a 200,000-year period, brothers, human beings never even left the continent of Africa. Modern human beings, which is Homo sapiens sapien, never even left the continent of Africa, brothers.
That's deep.
So had that not happened, everybody be African.
That's real powerful. And this to kind of give another type of little perspective of what we're sharing about, like the tremendous contributions of that region. Have you heard about what's going on in Kenya right now, as far as the landmass splitting and it's starting to split into two?
Yeah, I haven't really been like watching the news or following that. I've been reading about that other stuff that's going on over there, that strife and all that, but nothing around like, you know, the climatic stuff and all that that's going on over there.
Just real quick, and just kind of share this out real quick, that the geology, they're discovering with these deep LiDAR scannings that underneath the continent of Africa, Alkeban, it's another supercontinent underneath of Africa. And so what that is, it's actually budding and it's actually protruding and it's coming up. Kenya right now is splitting splitting in two. Basically, to understand how the inner workings of the planet are, that magma, that hot liquid magma, when it starts to cool, it starts to rise, much like a lava lamp. And when it comes up, it's new birth. And this is also give credence to the idea about that mother country always having the tremendous nutrients and just being so mineral rich because it's getting it straight from the source. And then we also know how plate tectonics and how everything kind of moves and moves out. So it just shows you a cycle of life from the inside of the earth, you know, mineral rich wise.
Right, and the fact that you brought it up, well, you know that region right there, that's called the Rift Lake Valley.
What was that?
Right? That area is also referred as the Rift Lake Valley. So the Rift Lake Valley runs all the way from down there, all the way up through Israel, you know, going into like the quote-unquote Middle East, right? And that's why that region right there, it was great for preservation of fossils. That's where they found all those early, you know, remains over there in Kenya, like the Zinjanthropus boise skeleton that the Leakeys found, and even going up through like Ethiopia, you know, in the Afar region when Donald Johanson found the Australopithecus afarensis, you know, skeleton, or they affectionately refer to as Lucy.
Yeah.
Her African name is Danknesh, you know, which has like a potassium argon dating of like 2.5 million years old. It's like the oldest, you know, remains of a human like individual found to this day, and it was that of a woman. Already might be older, but the Australopithecus afarensis, the Lucy skeleton, 40% intact, is the most famous.
That was from the archaeologists that found Lucy, right?
Yeah, the Leakeys are the ones that found
Dr. Lewis Leakey.
Yeah. No, Hansen found Lucy. The Leakeys found the Zinjanthropus boise skull that was over in Kenya, on the eastern coast.
That was in Kenya, yeah.
Yeah. But the Lucy, the Danknesh find was in the Afar region of Ethiopia by Donald Johanson.
Mm-hmm. One other fact I wanted to say that's a misnomer to a lot of people, especially our young people, about Africa is about the weather there. In sub-Saharan Africa, it's always year-round between 60 and 65 degrees. I find that to be amazing because a lot of people think it's hot and you be suffocate over there. But in sub-Saharan Africa, 60 and 65 degrees year-round because it's by the equator.
Oh yeah, and Brother Sharif, you know what else, bro? You got more forests in Europe than you do in Africa.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody thinks Africa's all jungle.
And more jungles. It's more jungles in Florida than it is in Africa. It's green in Africa.
That's my point. That's what I'm getting at, right?
Interesting.
And it's just a crazy thing, man, what they do to us, man. They don't do this to anybody else in the world, brothers. We have no friends. As John Henry Clark used to say, you brought his name up earlier, Brother Sharif. He used to always say, man, we have no friends. All we have is each other. So if we ain't learning, man, we ain't getting it now during this age of enlightenment. Yeah. Man, when are we going to get it?
And even with that, all these different portrayals that's trying to cast us in a different light from the movies that we're casted into, as well as going into a little bit about the music. You know, all of that's been given we've already dumb, deaf, and blind, but it's given a tremendous death blow to our youth. And we love our youth. We believe that the youth that are on this planet right now are reincarnated some of the most powerful souls, and we should do our best to unlock the greatness that's inside of them. And even comes to the point, there was a interview. I don't know, I ain't gonna talk about the whole Drake and Kendrick beef and all that other stuff, but there was something interesting. There was one of Drake's ghostwriters. I think his name is Daylight. Yeah, his name is Daylight. He did an interview, and he was sharing that he actually asked Drake, being a person of a black person that's in the music industry that's really sought after, and individuals look up to him. He said, when are you going to put a song out that actually means something to our community? If Drake would put a song out saying, I want a vegan girl, I need me a vegetarian woman, I need a pescatarian woman in my life, just even as a hook, how much tremendous impact that would be to cause people to move into a more healthier or lifestyle.
Be opening up being in restaurants on every corner of York, brother.
Right, take it to a whole nother level, man. But
Man, that music, the music is powerful, man. Because when you spoke about that, a couple days ago, Brother Shakur, man, you talking about vibration, you talking about frequencies, man. Because our bodies, man, we have frequency, man.
Yes, sir.
And the impact on that, like especially with this internet, man, and our kids, man, they just take that stuff literally, right?
Yes, sir.
And then you start throwing in, like I'm reading this article on my phone today, man, talking about so and so's on his $100 million yacht, going through the Mediterranean, taking his friends, all that kind of stuff like that. And you keep throwing that stuff in people's faces and stuff like that, man. Like the haves and the have-nots, man.
Yeah.
These kids take that, and you wonder why you have these flash mobs. Now, I'm not justifying it, but you can't be throwing it, because that's all we do. That's all our music is about right now, right?
Showing
over
off.
sexualized, thuggish, drug culture, snitching culture, and man, these kids, man, because their minds are still molding. Like, they're malleable, man, like a piece of clay, man. And some people, even old heads, take that stuff literally, brother.
Yes, sir.
The gun culture, the murder culture, man, you know what I mean? We're the only people on earth that do that kind of stuff in their music or with anything, brother.
Yes, sir.
We're the only people that don't patronize our restaurants.
Yes, sir.
We go around talking about, somebody prices and stuff like that, but you'll run right out and go bragging about you buying a Gucci dog against your belts and stuff like that. I be seeing kids right around 400, but I don't know the name of the sneakers, man. I don't be wearing sneakers like that no more, right? We're the only people on earth that do that, brother. We buy high and sell low.
Yeah, think about it.
We brag about paying more for ish.
Yeah.
Right? And you know what, man? And it's a crazy thing for our black male-female relationships, man. And we got to do better, man. We got to do better. That's why what you brothers are doing right here with this dialogue, man, this platform right here, brother, you don't realize how powerful that is, man, and what an honor and privilege it is for you to have come here and cipher with you. It's huge, man.
Perfect. Well, let me give a little shout out to Mr. James Freeland. Kind of wrote on it. He said, research the Rex 84, the King Alfred plan. I'm not familiar with that, but I'm definitely going to research that. And also, he got, this is what we were speaking about music, and he said most of the things we consume keep us on a low vibration. It's a canalized mindset. So, shout out Mr. Freeland out there. Like I said, we building, we waking up at this time, bro, and we need it now.
Yeah, he has a lot of good information about the history of the Moors. Some people consider themselves to be Moors, but like you said, we've had so many contributions from so many of our people. It's endless, so it's all good.
Hey, brother Sharif.
Yes, sir.
When you think about, a lot of times, like when you hear words like algebra, stuff like that, man, that's the Moors, bro. The Moors are the ones who went into Europe in 711, right? General Musa Tariq goes in there, man, and basically kicks the Visigoths out. The Visigoths and the Vandals from the North Germanic tribes, they're the ones who kicked the Romans out, right? And that's when Europe went into the Dark Ages. Well, put it this way, they were always in the Dark Ages, right? But when we got over there, brother, 711, and we were there for another 700 years, we were there until January 2nd, 1492, until Ferdinand and Isabella kicked the Nasrid dynasty out, and the last king was Boabdil. Man, Europe ain't never been the same. So you talking about going into a place, right, where everybody got an education, even women, You know, that whole sequence of math, the algebra, geometry, algebra 2 trig sequence, that's your Moors, brother.
And the Moors civilized Spain. I mean, they didn't even know how to domesticate their animals. They had the animals living in the house, and we had to teach them that no, they have to live outside, and taking baths. We taught them that irrigation, the libraries, all that was from the Moors.
Yeah,
in Spain, I'm talking about.
That area right there was called Al-Andalusia. So the ancient name for the part of Spain and Portugal is called Al-Andalusia, right? And you're absolutely correct, man. We talked about the concept of a corral. They had their animals inside there. They weren't taking baths, like you said. Street lights, irrigation,
libraries,
the concept of different courses with meals. When you hear brothers, we like to dress up, man, like linen, music. When you think about when you're in school, man, they're always talking to you about medieval Europe and all that kind of stuff, and castles and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. And we built them castles, man. Alhambra over there in Granada. We built that, brother. They've been at University of Salamanca. The Oxford and Cambridge. Those the great schools in Europe were patterned off of that, brother. Mm-hmm. We gave them everything, man.
Even a simple saying, "It's raining like cats and dogs," that comes from Spain, because before we civilized them, they had the cats and dogs on the roof, and it would rain, they would fall off of the roof, and we had to teach them how to domesticate the animals. And a lot of Americans get married in June and May because that was the first time they would take a bath in the year.
Yeah.
So a lot of Americans getting married in May and June because that was the first time they believed in taking baths, especially the women, and they would clean up at that time and get married. That's why a lot of people get married in May and June. And again, that saying "it's raining like cats and dogs" is because they had the animals resting on the roof, and then it would rain, they would fall off the roof, and that's where that saying "it's raining like cats and dogs" comes from.
Yeah, listen, bro, and like you're absolutely correct. And Brother Shakur, I think one of those pictures I sent you, I had a copy of this book on there called "The Golden Age of the Moors."
Okay.
By Ivan Sertima.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, it's deep.
But there's another great book in there, man, called "The Moors in Spain" by Stanley Lane Poole.
Yes. Is that with the dark-skinned brother on the front of the, I believe they saying that's Noble Drew Ali, the Moors in Spain.
It's not Noble Drew Ali, but it's a picture of a Moorish chief.
Okay.
And that painting is at the Philadelphia Art Museum to this day. You can go down there and see it.
Oh, okay. So it's a chief. I don't know why they said it's Noble Drew Ali.
Well, I mean, that's what I'm saying, bro. I'm giving you the evidence, bro. We ain't doing it. See, that's the conjecture and stuff that I be talking about, man. People just be saying stuff.
For sure.
Mm-hmm. I know what Noble Drew Ali looks like, but that's a deep book that the Moors in Spain, and it breaks down all that history in Spain with the Moors.
But if you can get a copy of The Golden Age of the Moor, it might be about $300 or $400 right now out there, because that's what they do to our books too. I mean, the copy. And listen to this, brother. The copy that I have, The Golden Age of the Moors, is one of the best books I've read on the Moors, right? Ivan Van Sertima. And the price it says on the book is $20. I paid $100 for this book.
You got him borrow that book. Send it to me. It's from
Who knows, like how much these books cost right now, bro? I got ancient books up in here right now, bro. Man, they $1,400, $1,500 on the internet. You can't even get them, bro, because they be trying to buy the knowledge from people, man, right? Yes, you got Gerald Matthews, man, or The Book of Beginnings, man, books like that. Like God Was a Negro by Theodore P. Ford, man. I mean, these are like ancient books, man. He wrote that book in 1936 at the University of Chicago. Man, I was reading something, man. They said, man, the FBI raided his house, man, took all of his books, man.
I bet. That's what they do.
That's what they do to us, brother.
Yeah.
But you know what though, man? You can't control knowledge, man. You can't control knowledge, brother.
Certainly not nowadays. Like I said, this is freedom time. We're gonna do a little quick. Let me do a little PSA, a little housekeeping for everybody who's watching on the White Rose Community Television viewership. We're gonna be kicking off right at 9 o'clock, but everybody's still on Facebook. We're gonna keep this going for a little while longer as well. Like I said, it's gonna be on Rumble and YouTube. We got Brother Kirkland here dropping some really great knowledge as far as African American lineage, Alkeban, Hameed, that type of information. We're going to turn it up just a little bit, and now I'm going to play a little provocateur about this Juneteenth that just passed. You know, most people consider that, you know, that's like black people Independence Day. And so even looking at what's going on right now, you got large corporations now with Juneteenth t-shirts, and it seems to kind of getting out of hand. It's getting to kind of some monopolized type of vibe. What's your thoughts about Juneteenth and that particular holiday or whatever?
It's like anything else that we do, man. You know what I mean? You know, corporations, other people are always co-opting our stuff. I think they call it cultural appropriation, right? I mean, you could have probably bought a Juneteenth T-shirt in Target, bro.
Yeah, they got
and so the question I would say was like, hey, listen, man, I'm not going to disrespect it, man. Like when I was talking to you, right? You know, how in the world is it that when you have the Emancipation Proclamation, and word doesn't make it to Galveston, Texas, man, for like a 2-year period? I mean, I'm having a hard time wrapping my arms around that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So, I mean, I'm not going to tell anybody who celebrate anything like that. I mean, that doesn't resonate with me, brother.
I feel you. Yeah.
You know, but the question I would be asking was, how many murders was it that day? I'd be wondering to see. You know, did we spend any money with each other that day, or were we too busy having picnics? You understand? What did we do that day? You know, to make it relevant, or to really provide an understanding. Like I said, I'm not hating on it, and I know that those people, you know, still, you know, even though they try to co-opt it and use it against us, right? I mean, I remember a couple of years ago, I think during COVID, when Juneteenth came, and some people down in Texas, they had painted this mural on some wall down there with 2 big Olmec heads, and I think they went crazy down there, man, and made them tear it down.
Wow,
you know,
I hear about that.
But as far as, you know, to answer your question, me, man, listen, the only thing I did that day was, man, I made sure I wasn't spending no money with no multinational corporations, that's for sure.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
It doesn't make any sense to me, Brother Kirkland, because I understand the concept of it. You know, we were supposedly freed as slaves, but what sense does it make to celebrate Juneteenth, June 19th, June 18th, because of our freedom, then turn around 3 weeks later, which is tomorrow, and celebrate the 4th of July when we were in chattel slavery in 1776? So that X's out what we just celebrated 2-3 weeks prior. What do you think about that?
Hey, man, I'm with you on that one, brother. How many picnics are you invited to?
It makes no sense. We were in chattel slavery July 4th, 1776. We were in slavery. And then you just celebrated Juneteenth 2-3 weeks prior? That makes no sense. You go from freedom to slavery and within 2 to 3 weeks. And most people don't even realize what they're doing because it's so commercialized.
And Brother Sharif, think about this right now that you brothers brought it up, right? You think even at the Emancipation Proclamation, man, you know, when they said the Freedmen's Bureau, we ain't never get no 40 acres and a mule, brother. You know, the people that had separated, you know, to bring them back in the Union, they benefited more from that Freedmen's Bureau than we did. We ain't had no skills or nothing like that. So what do you think that even left? So even the people that, you know, weren't in Texas, you know, 2 years after that, shoot, where were they? I'd say they were probably still in slavery, brother, because, you know, sharecropping wasn't nothing but another form of slavery.
Another name, yeah. And I thank you for bringing that up, because that was the next question I was going to throw to you. It was I'm trying to think who it was. They were talking about reparations in 2024. If they was to work out reparations, and this is what he got was being kind of comical with it, and just give every single black man and woman and child $3 million, who would benefit from that? They say the Gucci store would actually would reap the benefits of it. But I say that kind of jokingly. What's your thoughts about like a reparations, if they was to put forth a financial packet for black people at this particular time, reparations in 2024? What you think? You with it?
Well, I'm definitely a proponent of reparations, brother, because these people got rich, off of our people's toil for free for hundreds of years, right? And if you really want to put a number on that, brothers,
yeah.
One of my friends, bro, wrote this book called The Black Tax. I have to send that to you. The Black Tax. His name is Sean Rochester, right? He's a personal friend of mine.
Okay.
And he wrote this book called The Black Tax. And man, the number in there is astronomical, brother. So again, here we talking about science. We're not talking about conjecture and hyperbole. He quantified what does this look like.
Okay.
Right?
Okay.
I'm surprised the committees and everything aren't consulting him. Man, you're talking trillions of dollars, man. The interest owed on that. Right? And so think about it, brother. Think about it, right? Sharecropping? Man, sharecropping, man, man, let me tell you something. That's a game they ran on us, man. Man, there was probably, since that time, even to now, man, we may have only had a short period of time, where, these people, man, didn't have their knee on our necks, no pun intended.
Yes, sir.
You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
And so when you're in wars, you build everybody else up when you destroy them, man. That's what the Marshall Plan was about after World War II. So then they blew up Europe and they rebuilt it. You invested in Japan after you blew them up. You dropped 2 bombs on them. So the people that built this country, that toiled, man, and look at how they still treat us, man.
Yes, sir.
Right? So, but we know that. We know that. But that number's going to be huge, man. Yeah, man. I mean, hey, man, listen, man. I'm all down for a monetary, reward or remuneration or whatever like that, right? But can you imagine those folks? Man, you got some folks today, man, can't even manage their paychecks, brother.
Yeah.
More or less that kind of money, and again, the mentality, man. Like, I mean, there's a oh man. And they got some movies out there that parody this kind of stuff, man. Cosmic Slop. Go watch, see if you can find that movie, Cosmic Slop, on the internet, right?
You say flop like flopping like basketball, like flop FLOP?
Slop like sloppy, SLOP.
Oh, slop.
Slop. And it's a parody, man, on like what happens like if black people will leave Earth or something like that. And they were talking about, man, like, when nobody be here to buy the liquor, when nobody be here to buy rim, Yeezys and stuff like that, man.
I think Dave Chappelle did a skit like that one time. Somebody had bought a whole truck full of Cools or some cigarettes or something.
But listen, man, it's definitely long overdue.
Yeah.
I'm definitely a proponent of it. I mean, it could be in the form of education credits, housing credits. I mean, I don't know what the equation is, but as far as that number, man, Sean Rochester captured that information, like, I mean, very thoroughly, man, quantified. That brother, he's a University of Chicago brother, man, went to the Booth School. Man, it's a brilliantly written book, man. That's on my list, too, man, that I'm going to send to you.
Yeah, I just wrote that down. I got a bunch of notes over here, bro.
Brother Shakur, Google the front cover of that book real quick, The Black Tax. And show that cover to your audience, bro.
Yeah, I will. By the next show that we do, I'm going to get that. This is a recommended reading, and so this would certainly be, a continual part of the program. It's just, spend a little bit of time on it. This is reading is fundamental.
Brother Kirkland, I think another book that's almost a must read for us, especially in this day and time, because we talk about the historical things, which is very necessary. But this book by a white man, by Douglas Blackman, it's called Slavery in Another Name. and this was started in connection with the black codes, how they had laughing barrels, and if you felt the need to laugh, and if you didn't dip your head in this barrel, that was a fine. If you spit on the sidewalk, that was a fine. If you too many of you were gathered on the corner, that was a fine. And he called it slavery in another name, astronomical fines after slavery, to keep us in just in perpetual whirlwind of slavery. And it's called slavery by another name, and it's in connection with the black codes. If you had a firearm without permission, that was a fine. If you were in church and didn't have an overseer, that was a fine. They had astronomical fines that you wouldn't believe. And even this white man wrote a book on it called Slavery by Another Name. I think it's a part of our recent history that hardly no one knows about or talks about, but we heard of the black codes. But those were fines that you could get if you was walking on the wrong side of the street. That was a fine. And they literally
Christian black codes, that's what you're talking about?
No, it's just called the black codes, but the name of the book is called Slavery by Another Name, and it broke down how simple things, you could get a fine, and they were astronomical fines. Spitting on the sidewalk, walking on the wrong side of the street, laughing in front of white people, and even these.
Only be for black people.
Yeah, it's only for black people. That's why it's called the black codes. And they actually, if you go down to South Carolina, they have museums of laughing barrels, and it's a barrel that you had to dip your head in if you felt the need to laugh. And if a white person saw you laughing, they looked at that as disrespectful, and you could get a fine for that. And they were called laughing barrels. If you Google laughing barrels right now, they'll show the barrels that's in the museum right now. And you had to dip your head in that barrel if you felt the need to laugh, because white people felt like that was disrespectful to laugh in front of them, no matter what you're laughing about. And it's called laughing barrels. But that was a huge fine. Slavery in another name. This is recent history in Washington, D.C. This is where they first enacted it.
Hey, Brother Sharif, man, that one got Bobby, man. Thank you so much for sharing that. See, brother, that's why they're so important, man. Brother Kirkland didn't even know about that, man, but I'm definitely going to look that up. And Brother Sharif, you was talking about down south, man. I went down to Charleston, South Carolina 2 summers ago, man. Do you know they still have auction blocks in neighborhoods down there, brother?
Oh yeah, those are in the museum too, and that's where the saying "on the block" comes from.
These are on the street. These are in neighborhoods down there.
It's on the main street, like Main Street, Market Street. Those where they were, and that's where the saying "on the block" comes from. When young boys saying, "Yeah, I'm going on the block," they're actually repeating a slave term, because they used to put them butt naked on the block, on the main street, which was Market Street, to be sold as slaves.
Right. Educate me, because I'm at a loss. So you said down in the Charleston area, there's like platforms or something that.
Yeah, you step up.
In Charleston, South Carolina, I was down there, right? And I took a tour down there with this brother. And they actually have their granite man sitting right in people. One of them was at the entrance to these projects down there, brother.
They just removed one in Virginia a couple years ago because people protested about it. They had the same blocks that they set up on, and it was always on Main Street or Market Street to sell to slaves. And actually, that's where every major city has a Market Street. They said if you would do the research, that's where they probably had black people being sold on the market. That's where Market Street comes from, and you see that almost every city has Market Street is downtown. If you would go back to slavery time, they were probably selling black people on the market as slaves on these same blocks, and the young boys use that term and don't even know what they're saying. Yeah, I'm going on the block. That's the same block they used to sell slaves and on Market Street, because they used to look at them as just items on the market. Every almost major city has a Market Street.
Yeah, here we go using the word as a badge of honor, right?
Yeah.
Crazy.
Well, check it. We about to kind of conclude maybe about 10, 15 more minutes. I got like 2 more questions that I want to pose to you. And I've always, this kind of was always on my mind. I got on my Ptah Shakur, and this anybody who's listening at home, go to YouTube, Ptah Shakur on YouTube. I have a plethora of videos all for educating, inspiring, and enlivening. Please like, subscribe, share to individuals you care about. We're living in a real crucial part of humanity right now. So you got individuals that's awoke and they're spreading their love light with humanity. Then you got individuals that's on the fence just trying to discern what's going on. I implore everybody, you put on your thinking caps. Don't really fall for what's going on in the media. Do your own research. And then of course you got those that's going to stay. They're stagnant like in the Matrix. They're not going to try to get out. But what I wanted to kind of ask you real quick is when people on my Facebook page, a lot of individuals dropping real knowledge. They do a greeting called Hotep, and I think Sharif, you mentioned that as well. That's like a greeting. Is that related to the individual Hotep, or what's Hotep? What is that? And then maybe you can kind of go into Hotep a little bit.
Yeah, Hotep, man, just means peace, brother.
Okay.
Peace, right?
Yes, sir.
And you know, when you think about the architect Imhotep, his name means one who comes in peace.
Okay.
And Imhotep would be the world's first, what they say, multi-genius or polymath, right? He was the architect of the first stone structure known to humankind, called the Step Pyramid at Saqqara, which is in the northern part of Kemet to this day. It was built around, I think, like 2700 BCE during what's called the Third Dynasty for a pharaoh named Zoser, right? So Imhotep, not only was he, you see a lot of charter schools are named after him right now, right? I wonder if they even know his history. When you see him, man, you usually see him wearing a blue skull cap. If you can find pictures of him, it's hard to find pictures of him, right?
Yeah, I know exactly.
But he was a commoner. I think his dad's name was Kanofer. His mom's name was Carrie Du Unk. You Google her, bro, looked like just like one of them sisters, man, let their hair like curl up and stuff like that. But man, he was a mathematician, architect, physician, right? Hippocrates pays homage to him in the opening of the Hippocratic Oath, right?
What?
Everybody always gives credit to Hippocrates, the Greek god, for being the father of medicine, but he's telling everybody in the Hippocratic Oath where he got his knowledge from in the first paragraph of the Hippocratic Oath when he's paying homage to a man by the name of Asclepius. Because here we go again, changing the name. The Greeks called Imhotep Asclepius, and they worshiped him as a god.
World's first hospital was after Imhotep.
Correct. And
House of Imhotep.
There's I'm losing the there's a medical papyrus out there right now today where like it has like his surgical techniques for the neck and the head, and they used that the same soldier's name in World War I, man. His surgical techniques. I forgot the name of that papyrus off the top of my head, but it's a medical papyrus, man. But yeah, man, world's first multi-genius, world's first architect. That is the world's first stone structure, still standing to this day at a place called Saqqara, one of the first techno complexes, you know, in Kemet.
For sure. And even on it, because I watched the documentary that comes on, because they're still excavating over there in the sands and everything. And that Dozier Pyramid, they said that's one of the, if not the oldest pyramid, at least in that region. And I pretty much got it dead set. My heart is set. I'm going to that area, the Nile River Valley. I plan on taking that tour, going, dotting the Nile and seeing all the different ancient sites there. And so yeah, that's Saqqara. I heard about that. That actually there's a temple in there, and I believe on the roof of that temple is a depiction that looks really, really significant to what those in the physics world calls the Eisen-Rosen bridge. So basically, Eisen's, what's his name? The German guy, the smart guy.
Eisenhower.
No, Einstein. Excuse me.
Einstein.
Einstein and another individual. They surmised that there was what a wormhole or whatever would look like, and their depictions of what they came up with exactly mimics this particular illustration on that temple in Saqqara. So I've been narrowing that down in my brain. It was some serious stuff going on over there in that region. And so when you mentioned that about Dozier and
Imhotep.
and Imhotep, this is all divine timing for me. Honestly, I think this is really kind of activating something to me. So I really appreciate.
And big shout out to Hassai Ray, who they say is the world's first dentist, a black man. His name is Hassai Ray. In Africa, he was doing all kind of dental work back thousands of years before Jesus was here. Hassai Ray, Hesi Ray. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, brother. Well, like I said, bro, we are the first, man. We've been here longer than anybody, and everybody comes from us. That's a foregone conclusion. You know, when they did the Genome Project, everybody knows that it's common knowledge now that everybody can trace their mitochondrial DNA back to one Khoisan woman in Africa to this day, right?
Yes, sir.
So quiet is kept, everybody African, right? I bet you when them people may be taking them DNA tests and they find out they got that African blood, and they probably be mad and want to say the test is probably faker or that it was cool, right?
Called fake news.
But you know, you talking about that divine stuff, man. These the Kemites, man, were very spiritual, brother, man. These structures, man, they weren't tombs, bro. They were observatories, man, studying the skies and the stars, right?
Yeah.
And when you look at their locations and stuff like that, man, they're put in certain locations for a purpose, right? So that's the third dynasty. The other stone, so the step pyramid, like you said, it's steps or benches or mastabas built up on top of each other, right? So this whole process of building mirrors evolved, right? And then when you get to the fourth dynasty, with a family of like Senefru, Khufu, Khafre, Menkaure, the last three who built those pyramids as what's called the Giza Plateau, which is another techno complex, right? The three pyramids of the ancient wonders of the world, seven ancient wonders of the world, that's the only one still standing. We always focus on the big one built by Khufu, which is astrologically, from a geodetic perspective, is astrologically dead smack in the center of the earth, brothers.
Yes, sir.
Because when they built it, right, at that time, they lined it up with the North Star called Alpha Draconis. You understand? So I sent you that picture that was in Dr. Charles Finch's book on the Black Beginnings, right? And it showed from a latitudinal and longitudinal perspective that it was astrologically dead smack in the center of the earth, where the base lined up with the four cardinal directions, north, south, east, and west, right? You had to understand the spinning of the earth. You had to understand the circumference of the earth in order to do that, brother.
Yes, sir. Think about it.
Do you know how long you would have had to been on earth to take those measurements and those observations to be able to do that, where that pyramid and the other two, right, line up with the belt of Orion?
Yes, sir.
In the constellation certain times of the year, brother?
Man.
So, like the saying, as above, so below. Man, we're the first stargazers. We're the first astrologists, man, astronomers and all that, man, right? So you talking about science and divine, principle and all that kind of stuff like that, man. That's in us. You can't build like that without having that kind of inspiration, man.
Brother Kirkland, I had a quick question or comment for you. I think I think we're like an infinite circle, almost, no beginning, no end. But our history, because we were talking earlier, and we're not picking on the church, but I think our history makes it problematic for the church, for example, they teach that Adam and Eve are the first human beings, but according to science, that can't be, because Dr. Louis Leakey said the oldest bones go back 4 million years, and it's got to go back further than that, in Kenya. But when you read the Bible, it says Adam and Eve were in the Garden of Eden, and you read in the Bible the Garden of Eden is along the Mesopotamia River in Iraq. Iraq and Kenya, where Dr. Louis Leakey said the oldest bones were found, are nowhere near each other. So how can that be? How can the oldest bones be in Kenya, and then the Bible says the Garden of Eden, where Adam and Eve was along the Mesopotamia River, which is by Iraq, which geologically those two are nowhere near each other, and the Bible only goes back about 6,000 years. So how could they possibly be the first human beings?
So, Brother Sharif, I think was that a trick question, man? Or, I think you answered your own question. First of all, there was more than one Adam and Eve. First of all, right? Because if you want to get into that, I'll just play the game. You got Adam and Eve, and Adam and Eve had two sets, Cain and Abel. Cain kills Abel, right? So that means think of earth, and God says, "Hey, I'm not going to do it to you, Cain." So he banishes him to a land of Nod, and he goes to Nod and takes a wife. So where do the people from Nod come from, right?
Right.
So secondly, if you go to Genesis chapter 2, 7-10, now this is their book, brother, and it talks about God molds man out of clay, and it says, and he places him in a garden, and he gives a very specific location, right?
Mm-hmm.
It says in the land of Cush and Havilah, where all the gold flows, right, between the rivers of Gishon and Pion, and then it says all the way to the high waters of the Tigris and Euphrates, where Mesopotamia is, right?
Okay,
so that would suggest to me that the real Garden of Eden was a vast region, which had its beginnings in Africa, because that's where Cush was one of Ham's son.
True.
Right? And then Cush had a son named Havilah, right? If you look that up, that's in Africa, right? So when I told you that the Kemites tell a story in the folklore, matter of fact, even in West African folklore, brothers, they say we come from the mountain of the moon where God happy dwells, Mount Kilimanjaro. They called that place Kui land or Tamari, which is the real Garden of Eden, right? So the one thing about the church, man, is that they're always, man, they're always trying to. So like these timelines keep going back far and far. So I'm glad you brothers didn't ask me about timelines, man, because the timelines, man, we keep getting older, right? As they keep digging and the technology gets better, right? The timeline just keeps going back, brothers. And but the Western civilization is always trying to move that timeline up so they can try to put it where Mesopotamia comes into play and make it like that's the beginning of civilization, when in fact that Mesopotamia is a colony of Cush, because that region of the world was nothing but the northeast extension of Cush, man. That's why, like, where Abraham comes from, the town of Ur, man, there's a place where they call Elam, right? Their capital was called Cush or Kish. That civilization been extended all the way to India, to the Indus Kush Valley. So that's not even going to get it if you read between. Man, they so diabolical, bro, with that knowledge out there, brother. But man, you got to read these books, man. But they be banning these books, and that's why I say they don't let these pastors. Even these pastors are not getting that information, man. I mean, listen, brother, I don't have that calling on my life. You know what I mean? So I'm not going to be disrespectful like that.
Yes, sir.
But man, like, I'm telling you, man, they keep trying to move the bar on us, man, because we're so old, man. We are so old, brothers, and everything comes from us, man.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
You gotta get this book, man, by John G. Jackson, man, Christianity Before Christ.
I've heard of that. Somebody else.
You heard of that, man?
Mm-hmm.
And the interesting thing, so brother Sharif, you said 6,000 years. Hey, man, they said there's an archbishop by the name of James Usher, and in 1630, he announced that the world was created in the year 4004 BC.
Oh yeah.
It goes back further than that.
When modern Homo sapien was here 200,000 years, man, before they left the continent of Africa, man. So, hey, man, I don't even like debate those people anymore, because they don't even have an answer for you, brother. So it's really an insane conversation to be having with them. They just need to go back and do some more studying, blacken up their message, and just start telling. But it's on the people too. The people that go there don't even read the Bible.
No, they don't.
They just showing up like they showing up for like it's a club. I don't want to get into that, man, because I don't.
We had a show like that before. We went into that. Yeah, but it's good information. Good to hear it from everybody. Hear from other sources. I got one last thing I want to ask, and then we're gonna kind of close out in like the next 5 minutes or so. One of the pictures that you sent me, and I have it on the back screen for everybody who's watching right now, and they're gonna be watching the recording as well. It's a nice day outside, so we get a lot of responses like the night before, the next day somebody asked me about it. But the picture that I got behind it, I'm like, call in. I watched the show. I appreciate you. I'm like, well, call in. Anywho, the picture on the back, it's a statue of a male and a female, and she got her arms like around his arm, and they're kind of like in step. What's that right there? Because one of my brothers sent that to me too, and I didn't know what that was. Yeah.
So anyway, I took that picture at the Boston Museum of Fine Art.
Oh, he was in Boston. I gotta get
in Boston, right? Yeah. They got a great exhibit, man, on Kush and Kemet, right? And that's a picture of Menkaure Ray and his wife. Menkaure Ray is the king who built that third pyramid in the Giza complex, right? And it's a picture of him. So if you notice, right, they mean business. You notice the warm embrace, right?
Yes, sir. I'm trying to hide my head a little bit.
They're standing together. Nobody, the king, the Nesepati is not in front of her. They're standing together, right, symbolizing their unity, and that they're working together. The warm and tender embrace, which I just said is black man, black love. You don't see that in sculptures with other cultures around the world, right?
That's true.
And then both of them stepping forward with their left foot out, which symbolizes the stomping out of evil, because the heart's on the left side. They're stomping out of evil and moving forward, brother. Right? So I always show that in my presentation, man, because I think we need a little bit more black man, black woman love in this world, man.
Yeah, we definitely need
that black love, for sure. Yeah, but the king's name is Menkaure, 4th dynasty.
You got any other?
His pyramid is at the Giza complex. And one last thing, brothers, before you go, right?
For sure.
You know there's more pyramids in the Sudan than there is in Egypt.
No, I ain't know
that. I knew that. Yeah.
Matter of fact, you're right. That was a question, like a Jeopardy question. I remember a couple years back.
Yeah. You got when you think about the Kushite kings and all that, man. Your Taharkas, your Shabakas, your Queen Candaces, of Meroe, Amani Rainis, Amani Shiketo, and that's man, brother, man. We could go on and on and on to the break of dawn, brother. I know we gotta go.
Definitely gotta do a part 2.
For sure.
Yeah, I just love the work that you brothers are doing down there in the community, and I appreciate you thinking of me, man. I'm humbled, I'm honored, man, that you would think of the brother, and thank you for having me this evening.
Thank you, appreciate it. We'll be reaching out to you.
All right, man. Hotep.
Yes, sir. Hotep.
Yep.
Thank you. I always wanted to know that. I always felt stupid to ask somebody. I'm glad he shared it with me. But there's my alarm going off. So, with that, like I said, this is the Hour of Power program. This is a live TV call-in show that's broadcasted to the White Rose Community Television, and then also displayed there on Facebook later on, Rumble, and YouTube. Join the freedom movement right now. This is a shift of energy that we're living in right now. This is a time for everybody to kind of work on their inner truths and work to get in contact with the God divine within. We do got some bad actors out there that's going to try to do some things to try to dissuade us. Stay tuned for the next week's episode. Even to stay tuned on the Monday program, the Ptah Shakur Speaks program. That's on this same very channel as well. It's coming from 8 p.m. to 9 p.m. to kind of share that bit of information with everybody to give you a clear perspective of what's going on in the world. So if this Hour Power program, anybody that wants to come on to the program or call in and share any type of well wishes, we definitely want to hear more from the youth. If you got a youth out there that's doing some positive contributions, whether they're going away to college, whether they're going to the military, or whatever they're doing positive, entrepreneurship, this is a place for you. This is a place for unique, diverse ideas to be expressed, whether regardless of what your acronyms are, regardless of what your political affiliations are. We want this to be your home for you to be a springboard where you can present the ideas out to the public. And so, like I said, White Rose Community Television, Facebook, Instagram. It's going to be next Wednesday here from 8 to 9 p.m. Before we kind of close out, I just want to make sure with everybody these little simple words. When a man or a woman begins to discover the power within them, they never play the part that they formerly played. They don't turn back and become just a reflector of life. From there on in, they become an affector of life. So what I mean by that, I'm asking everybody to find your peace on earth. If you're you're in a spot where no one sees eye to eye with you because you're making these adaptations, you're evolving. You want to evolve the way that you eat, the way that you dress, the way that you present yourself. You want to basically become the better version of yourself. If you don't have anyone around in your periphery that helps support you in that, you got to find your peace. Whether it be getting in contact with like-minded, high-level individuals like ourselves, or going out into nature, get in amongst nature, get some of the light codes from the sun right now, and actually tap in to that divine source. And when you do tap into that peace, I promise you, you'll get in contact with the God divine within. And then when you do foster that love for self, that unconditional love for self, and to develop that God divine love within, give a small smidget of that to your fellow human beings that are walking around this face on the earth. We got to do it ourselves. This is the Love Light movement. Join the movement right now. So this is Ptah Shakur. Until next episode, love and light to you all. Peace, peace, peace. Oh, you got it, bro? Love and light to everybody. Don't be careful out there with no fireworks. I don't want nobody blowing no fingers off.